Anna Vogel stepped off the dusty coach with a heart full of nerves and hope. The wind tugged at her skirts as she adjusted her hat and looked around. The town was small, rough wooden buildings, creaky boardwalks, and the distant clang of a blacksmith's hammer. She squared her shoulders. This was where her new life would begin. The townsfolk watched as she straightened her skirt and lifted her chin. A boy peeked from behind a porch post. A shopkeeper paused mid-sweep. She gave a polite nod and walked forward. Not too fast, not too bold, just enough to look like she belonged. It was a performance, and she hoped it would be convincing. The schoolhouse was barely more than a shed. One room, one stove, and one blackboard painted onto the wall. She dusted the sill with her sleeve and opened the windows wide. Light streamed in, warming the space and her resolve. Tomorrow, she would teach. Today, she would make it ready. Johan Lindström was quiet, kind, and far more patient than most. He sat at the corner table of the cafe, cradling a chipped mug between weathered hands. He nodded as she passed, just once, and went back to watching the steam rise. He was not a man of many words, but she noticed him all the same. When the blizzard hit in February, it howled like a living thing. Snow piled at the door, and frost crept in around the windows. She wrapped herself in quilts and read poetry aloud to the silence. Each morning, she shoveled a narrow path to the schoolhouse, not for the children who stayed home, but for herself. Routine was a kind of survival. One morning, she found it waiting on the porch, a carved wooden spoon and a jar of honey wrapped in twine. No note, no name, but she knew. The spoon was smoothed at the edges, the honey golden and clear. She held them both like they might vanish if she blinked. The storm had passed, and someone had been thinking of her. As the snow melted, so did her hesitation. Children returned, muddy-booted and full of laughter. The prairie softened, blooming with color she hadn't realized she'd missed. She smiled more easily now. Sometimes she caught Johan watching her, not boldly, but with a softness that made her breath catch. And she didn't look. She found the note tucked into a folded napkin, sitting quietly on her doorstep. The handwriting was careful, slightly slanted. Anna, it read, "Will you be my home?" Her hand trembled as she folded it back. She didn't run to him. She walked, steady, certain, carrying only the note and the hope that he was still waiting. Rich. The roof leaked sometimes, and the winters stayed long. But the house was warm, with laughter, with music, with love. Anna kept teaching, Johan kept carving. And in the quiet hours between chores and seasons, they would sit on the porch, arms brushing, hearts steady, watching the sun go down together.